The Massachusetts House has passed its 2020 fiscal year budget, totaling nearly $43 billion. Ray Hershel sat down with State Representative Brian Ashe, a member of the House Ways and Means Committee, to discuss what the House budget means for the residents and communities of Western Massachusetts.
It took us 4 days to get through. We finished up Thursday evening, early evening. It was 4 days long. The budget, even though it took 4 days, things went pretty seamless. There wasn't too much debate from the opposition. Most things were in agreement on both sides, which was good. I was happy at the end of the day when we came out with our budget. I was very happy with the progress that we made. Obviously, there's always things that you wish you got in the budget, but a budget is a compromise. And going from the governor's budget to our budget, I was pretty happy with the movement we made. There wasn't too many things that we had to change or that we wanted to change. And now, as we talked earlier, from here we'll go on to the Senate. We'll have the next crack at it.
Yeah, totals I think were something like $42.7 billion, and as you say, it kind of mirrors the governor's budget in a way. There are a little bit of differences in that budget, but it seems to be an emphasis this time around in the legislature. I know with the governor and in the House budget as we look at it, to reassess the public education funding formula.
Yeah, exactly. There's always been a discussion, serious discussion about how we fund education. And we just want to, make sure our commitment is to early education. And I think, looking through the budget, you can see that we've kept that strong commitment, helping with Chapter 70 funding for schools and, upping the stabilization fund. And we really made sure we put enough funding in there for early education throughout the Commonwealth. And then there is still a big discussion as far as the future, how we come up with a better formula to make sure all schools are assessed or all districts are assessed fairly. The
numbers as I have them, there was something like $5.1 billion for Chapter 70 local school aid in the budget, and that's something like a $218 million increase in Chapter 70 from last year. So there does seem to be that commitment, I think,
absolutely,
to pour money into education.
And this is for special education. A big chunk of it was for regional transportation, a lot of things that we knew that needed more funding, that we made sure that the funding was transferred over there. And we want to make sure that our schools throughout the Commonwealth, and especially as a legislator out in Western Mass, we want to make sure that our schools and our school districts out here are treated fairly and equally, and that we have the resources, our teachers and superintendents, principals have the proper resources they need so our students can get the best education possible.
And I know when we've had some of our Western Mass legislators on before, one of their concerns was the rural part of the state.
Yeah.
The Berkshires and toward the Berkshires, where the school districts are small, but there's a lot of transportation, bus transportation, and they particularly focused on additional funding for the rural part of the state and money.
Yeah, that's a big concern, is that when you're in a regional school district, transportation isn't like your regular city or town where you're just going throughout the, your small district. Some of them have to travel miles and miles to pick up one student here, one or two students there. So we wanted to make sure that these school districts were given the resources that they needed to make sure that these students are able to get to school, that it's not an extra burden on the parents, it's not an extra burden on the schools, and the students feel like, hey, we're not getting left behind. There's transportation here for us.
And I think the overall budget was up, so correct me if I'm wrong, something like 3% from a year ago. Where do we stand in terms of potential added revenues or tax increases to pay for some of these additional costs? Will we be looking at this discussion later on about a possible tax increase, or is there enough money in the budget, do you feel, to fund all these initiatives?
Well, right now there's no talk about any tax increases right now. We, knock on wood, we certainly hope there won't be, because that's nothing. I know myself, my colleagues, and I know speaking with the Speaker of the House, he's not looking to make any tax increases. The revenues have been up, and we're counting on them staying up to help pay for some of this, as well as with the casino, marijuana. There are new revenue sources in the Commonwealth, and we're counting on those revenue sources as well as the state doing well in general.
I know the governor proposed a couple of additional revenue measures. I think one was putting a tax on opioid manufacturers, for example, something like that.
Right.
But if I'm correct, the House did not include that.
Yeah, I don't think we had that in there. We're trying to avoid taxes right now if we can at all costs, and if we can do this within what we have, as you know, as I mentioned, the revenues have been up, and as well we have other revenue sources with the casino and with the marijuana. We're hopeful that not only can we pay for this, but we can also save money for our rainy day fund as well.
Now, when the budget is proposed, as you well know, there are umpteen amendments which are put in. I think this year there were over 1,300 amendments coming from legislators all over the state. You had some specific amendments that you proposed as well. Can you talk about them and whether they were included in the final version of the House budget?
I had about 15 amendments. Not all of them made it through there. Like most legislators, you shoot for whatever you can for your district, and then you give your priorities to the chairman of Ways and Means, and you hope you get them. One of the ones which we talked about earlier was for the Chapter 35 beds at the Sheriff's Department. As you know, the sheriff started taking Chapter 35 beds on Mill Street, and with that is an added cost, an added burden to the Sheriff's Department. But to be able to keep these people in their own neighborhoods or own, in Western Mass, so they don't have to go 2.5 hours away, that's big. It's big for their recovery. It's big for the families. So we put in, I put in a request. We ended up getting $1 million for the state for the Chapter 35 beds, which will go a long way helping the sheriff and helping all the people that are committed.
It will help the sheriff, and I know he's been very emphatic about the need for a facility here in Western Massachusetts for women.
Absolutely.
Because right now women have to go outside of the region.
Which is extremely unfair, and it's a horrible burden on the people that are committed as well as their families. As you know, we have the regional facility for women out in Chicopee, but there's no place we can have a civil commitment, and I don't believe you can keep the men and women in the same facility. No, yeah. So I know if possible, the sheriff would love to have another facility somewhere sited, obviously within Western Mass. That would be a huge benefit for not only the Commonwealth, but for families around here who feel the need that they have to have someone committed.
There was another amendment relating to veterans in East Long Meadow that you had proposed. Can you tell us what that involved?
Sure. I think in the past year, the veterans in East Long Meadow, they want to do a veterans memorial, and East Long Meadow is very active with their veterans and veteran services. So I was able to get $100,000 in the House budget to help with the veterans memorial, which hopefully will be in the next couple of years. They'll have that set up and built.
Now the budget process goes to the Senate next. Can you outline a little bit about the procedure from which it started? The governor proposed his budget, right?
The governor, which is actually called House 1, does the first budget. Gives a chance for everybody, the House members, the Senate, to look at it. And then the third week of April, the House does their budget, which we just finished up. And again, everybody gets to look at that. Now the Senate will come in the third week of May. They will do their budget. Hopefully, as ours wasn't too far off the governor's, hopefully theirs isn't too far off of ours. And then after that, there's 3 different versions of the budget. You get what's called the conference committee, which is members from the governor's, the governor will have people, the House, the Senate, each has a couple representatives. They meet and they kind of compromise until they get a final budget. And then we will vote on it, the Senate and then the governor. And that's where you really, so all the things that I got in the budget or other legislators get in the budget, you have to go back and then make sure that, or hopefully make sure that your requests are still in the final budget.
Do you anticipate a final budget being signed into law before the end of the fiscal year? Some years we've had that issue where we've had to get supplemental budgets because the final budget wasn't completed by the end of the fiscal year.
I mean, there's no guarantees, obviously, because I don't know what the Senate budget's going to look like, and I don't know how far off it'll be, or if there's any 1 or 2 sticking points. But I feel pretty good that all sides want this to be done on time and to have the budget signed. So I'm feeling fairly comfortable that it will get done.
Representative Ashe, wanted to get your thoughts also on the largest item for increase in the budget, and that's MassHealth. It was up something like $343 million, and I believe if I'm not mistaken, that accounts for something like 39% of the state budget.
Yeah.
I know there's ongoing concern about the high cost of health care and prescription drugs and so forth. What's being done, or can anything be done to kind of reduce those costs or perhaps lower those costs, but yet still provide the services that are needed?
Yeah, I mean, that's the million-dollar question, literally. We really we want to make sure that people have their health care, and with the uncertainty with the federal government, what's going to happen with health insurance, want to make sure that the money is aside there. Yeah, there are discussions. We're trying to figure out the best possible way, what we can do to make sure that people have their health care, people have their prescriptions at a fair and reasonable cost. And so there is work being done there, but we wanted to make sure that in the budget, people aren't left behind or people aren't left without.
And I know, too, there was a little bit of a discrepancy, I think, in terms of how MassHealth would approach drug manufacturers to try to reduce those drug costs. The House version on that differed a little from the governor's, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think the Senate will probably be a little different as well. But the main thing with all this, it gives us a place to start a discussion. So hopefully we can come to an agreement and get something done.
Any final thoughts on the House budget as it moves forward now? You're satisfied with the budget in terms of what it calls for?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the budget overall. Again, there's always things you'd like to have in there, but overall I was pretty happy. And talking to most of my colleagues around here, I think most people were fairly satisfied with the product that we came up with. Obviously now we have to wait and see what the Senate does. Hopefully they'll be pretty much in line with what we did, and we'll have come to a good compromise.
And Western Massachusetts will be fairly treated.
Absolutely, absolutely.